What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ron Line Report. Not one, but two great guests today. First guy is Jo The Machine Palacios. He is the talk of the town right now in bodybuilding, the biggest surprise of the 2025 season. Most improved, probably deserves that title as well. And his coach, the great Justin Compton, who was a four-time IFBB Pro champion and a top 10 Olympian, and now is sought out as one of the best coaches in the game. Welcome, guys. Really, really good to have you on this Friday evening.
Yep, happy to be here, man.
Jo, I'm going to start with you. Where's the E in your name, Jo? What happened to it?
So it's going to fall in line with something Justin always says. Justin has a hard time telling me, the whole phrase average Joe, your average Joe. I feel weird saying it to you. So with that whole concept, I always like the shortened name Joe. But I've also liked to stand out. I like to be unique, and I didn't want to be like all the other average Joes. So if you take the E out, I'm not like an average Joe. I'm a little bit different just by a letter. So
fair enough. So I'm going to get right into I feel like the biggest moron because I did my Tampa preview, saw your name on the list. I'm like, never heard of him. Don't know who this guy is. Didn't even pay any attention. And then lo and behold, we all saw what happened. Tampa, you just shocked everybody. This was a fantastic look. Huge guy. I mean, you remind me of other guys like Nick Walker. I'm sure you've heard some other comparisons. People saying late Art Atwood. Big, freaky guy with amazing conditioning. And I can't believe I saw a couple pictures from the Cali Pro last year. I still can't believe you only got 15th because you didn't look that bad. But tell me what the experience was like coming out of that show a year ago where nobody was paying attention to you. And then this year, good Lord, people are freaking out. Who is this Jo Palacios guy?
So last year, it hit me for like a good 15 seconds, I would say, when I saw where I was going to place, just because I held myself on a higher pedestal than that. And, coming off the Mr. USA win and all that stuff, I had high hopes in the pro league. And I've always been a believer in leaving no stone unturned, giving it my all. If I lose because the better man beat me, not because I didn't give my all to the controllables. And the thing with that show was that I put on a lot of muscle mass between USA's and the Cali Pro. And I even competed earlier than I intended to, just because we felt like I could. And I'm still glad that I did. It's just with putting all that new muscle tissue on, one of the variables in bodybuilding is time that you need, meaning time for letting the muscles mature, let them sit so they can stick. And I feel like that held us back in being able to push the conditioning without eating into any of that new muscle tissue. And so that was one of the things, I knew I could push conditioning farther. I have no problem, pushing through the diet and all that stuff, doing whatever cardio I got to do. But we held that back and decided to go with the fuller look. And I ended up, in 15th because of it. And I learned real quick how important conditioning is in the pro league. So for me to place where I placed, I feel like they didn't even look at me once they saw that I wasn't absolutely peeled, because I don't have the best shape. I have decent shape when I do get in condition, but I don't have the best shape in the world. So right away they wrote me off. I placed 15th, and like I said, for like a good 15 seconds, it was that whole damn, do I even belong up here kind of thing. But I reality checked myself real quick, got off the stage, and told Justin what I felt. I asked him what he saw, and we had the same exact thoughts as far as why we placed where we placed and what the game plan should be going into the next one. Literally decided what show I was going to do on the way to that post-show dinner.
Wow.
Well ahead, because we both, again, are on the same page and knew exactly what I had to do to make damn sure that they gave me a look. And I knew what I was capable of. Justin, through working with me, I'm sure has been proven to that he can trust that I will execute. And so I knew he was confident in what we were going to do. And everything we set out to do, we did. Now, a win would have been nice, but I mean, I felt like I won. So even though I don't have the ticket to Olympia or the title, I exceeded even my own expectations when I look at these pictures, and just how big of a impact I made. So it was really cool. I'm glad everything played out the way it did. I believe things happen for a reason, and God's plan for me. It definitely. I've always been a humble guy, but it was a good thing for me to lose because it kept my humility
Hmm.
100%. And I'm just excited to see what's next.
Justin, when did you start working with Jo, and did you see this potential? Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, have you been with him this whole process from that picture on the left?
We got together, I think it was 2021, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty much it was November 2021. So that was a year later after that picture was taken. So I was still 100% natural on that left side.
Hmm.
And when Justin got a hold of me, I was literally in the middle of my second cycle.
Okay. Yeah, Justin. So how did it come about, Justin? Did I'm
I've
sure you have
been,
like a wait list of clients.
no, I don't have a wait list right now. I am to the point where I am getting a little bit where I can pick and choose per se, because Ron, you know this as well, and you've seen so many people come and go over the years, and people just they tell you how bad they want it, and they're willing to put in the work, and usually the ones that tell you that is the ones that's not really putting in the work.
Sure.
So I did not know Jo at all, and I was introduced to him by his training partner Paul, who I'd been working with for about 2 years prior. And I don't turn anyone down, and I don't discount anyone's thoughts or efforts, but I will expect you to show me, right? Like, let's see what this guy's got. And Paul came to me and he wanted me to work with Jo. And I got thinking, I was like, he really doesn't tell too many people that. So I was like, if he's recommended him, this guy must be a hard worker. So I was like, okay, let's see what we can do. So immediately I saw rapid growth, and we did the Cal. It was a 2022 Mr. California amateur. And even Jo will tell you to this day, like, I pushed him very, very hard at that show, and we brought superb conditioning. And I actually wanted him to go on to the USA's that year. I said, you can get your pro card now as a heavyweight. First try. Like, I knew it in my heart we could have won it.
Yeah.
But Jo wanted something a little bit more. He wanted the overall at the USA's, and all this panned out perfectly. So I said, okay, well, at the end of the day, you're going to be a pro, and you're going to be a successful pro. It's just a matter of when, not if. So he wanted to take the time off, and to win the overall in 2022, we would have been against Stu, and Stu would have actually beaten him for that overall.
Okay.
I do believe that.
Hmm.
So we took the time off, and generally speaking, when you talk about like a genetically gifted athlete and what I expect out of people,
Yeah.
8 to 10 pounds of muscle per year is quite a bit, right?
Shit.
So I'm sitting here thinking like, well, we're going to be at the very top of the heavyweight class. And that's in my head. I had this the whole time. And Jo wanted to be a super. And I was like, okay, let's just grow. I did not put any limitations. I didn't care about, like, as long as his conditioning was up to par with my standards and I'm seeing muscle tissue being added from month to month, I'm good with this. I just didn't expect it to actually be super heavy. So he actually went above and beyond and exceeded what I expected. We got to about a week out, and I kept looking at the pictures. I'm scrolling up, and I'm like, man, we're just getting smaller at this point. We're not actually getting better. We're just getting smaller. So I gave him a call. I think I called you, didn't I? And
Yeah, he called me. That's how I knew it was serious.
I was like, we can go into this as a heavyweight. And I think, we had already technically gotten to a heavyweight status, like weight-wise.
Yeah.
I was like, or we can just fill back out a little bit and go with super heavy, because I saw what I saw, and I did not know anyone that was going to be in the USA's that could beat it. So I said, I would rather you be at your best. Let's just go wherever the scale falls. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jo, it was right around the 230 marker, right?
Yeah, so we got me down all the way to 223. And the day of the show, that morning, I was 228 after trying
Okay.
to feed me up.
And yeah, I still think we probably pushed it a little too hard, because in my head I was thinking heavyweight, but like, we were already shredded. So there was really no point in me just continuing to bring this guy down just to make heavyweights for the sake of doing so. So we filled back up, we went to supers, and then that was kind of all she wrote for the USA's. And he was the I guess you would say, the dark horse going into the USAs as well, because there was a lot of social media hype on Eric Janicki at the time, and Eric was second. And I'm the type of guy, and Ron, you know me, like with the guys that, like, when I have someone special like that, I don't post them online. And just like myself, I didn't even want to leak those 2014 photos when I was a week out from Orlando. I knew I was in shape, and I knew I was going to do good. Actually, Steve asked me, your old boss, Steve, asked me for the photos. And since I was under contract, I didn't have any choice but to really send them to him. But I wanted to go into that show as the dark horse, and I just wanted to shut people up. Because I remember the predictions for that show. People had me like 6th and 7th place, and I'm like, no, we're not going 6th or 7th. We're taking it. That was my attitude. So the same with Joe on this. Like, everyone was like, and I like Eric, by the way. I've met Eric, but I was like, nah, we're going to beat him. And I had that in my head. And I remember talking to a couple of other fellow coaches, and they were like, oh, no, Eric's going to. And I was like, all right, you keep thinking that, you keep talking. And obviously, we just showed up and we won, and that was that. Fast forward a little bit to the Cal. He was able to put on a significant amount of muscle mass between winning the USAs and the Cal. But this is something that, and I've talked to Joe about this before over the last week or so, and even last year at the Cal, is he's the type of guy, and very much like myself, he can get striated glutes, but still have to dig a little bit deeper. Most guys, that's the like the last body part to come in, right? The glutes and hamstrings. Joe's will come in a little bit early, while as we still got to dig harder to get the detail. Like, if you look at the detail in the shoulders here, but specifically I'm looking at like the quad, the hamstrings, the lower back, and I'm like, we can still go more. And I remember telling him after the Cal, we're going to do an off season, just as we always do. I'm not going to restrict any muscle mass growth. I'm not going to put any weight restrictions on things. I did tell him I wanted to keep it tighter, and I think we did keep it tighter that off season. But more importantly, I kind of wanted to brace him. I told him that I believed in him, and I said, this next prep that we do for 2025 is going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, and I'm going to push you to a limit or a place where you've not been before. And I think we accomplished that. Surprisingly, the food, I kind of expected. I was like, I know he's mentally strong enough to handle it, but like, I expected it to get very low and the cardio to get very high. It actually wasn't that way, because when we won the amateur Cal, that was a very difficult prep. But considering he's got like 30 plus pounds of muscle now, as you know, that alone was going to help you as far as like burning calories, just sitting there with that muscle mass on your frame. So we didn't have to push the food as hard as I expected, restrict the food as hard as I expected. We didn't have to go as hard on the cardio as hard as I expected. So in my head, I figured we were going to go hard on this, but like, I would say Joe was replicating the Cal conditioning at like, what do you say, 262, 263 range? That sound about right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, we look good here, but this is not good enough. So we were checking in probably every 2, 3, maybe every 4 days. I'm kind of monitoring this. And I remember, since you're on his page, there was I actually saw this on Instagram because he didn't send this to me first. I saw there's a picture or video where he's in these ice blue trunks. And I was like, that's it. That's the look I've been waiting for. And that's what I want. I said, we're going to coast in. And everyone else was kind of sleeping on him. We were watching the podcast leading up to Tampa. People were saying basically top 10, like 5th or 10th based on the videos. But what they hadn't seen is, like, I'd seen him in person several times, and I know he's not an Instagram bodybuilder. He's actually big in real life too. So when you guys see that, when he's standing next to guys like, we know John Jewett's big, we know Quint's big, we know Jordan's big, and Joe stands beside of him and he's big or bigger. So like, I know this, but I understand how people on Instagram, we've seen so many people look good on Instagram, and it just doesn't translate to the stage, right? So I understand why they were, kind of discounting him. But in my head, I almost wanted to tell you to like turn those podcasts off, but like your mindset was good enough. I was like, stop listening to this shit, because I know exactly what's in front of my eyes right now, and I know what I'm looking at. And I knew this was going to drop jaws as soon as he got on stage. And that's exactly how it played out. It played out perfectly.
Joe, when it came to those things, like I kept telling Justin, I was like, it's I like the whole like shock factor. Like I don't need people to count me out, but I'm a very confident person because when you put in the work and you do everything you're supposed to do, you have to be confident because you've done it all. So I knew what I was going to bring and I knew what I was capable of. So that outside noise didn't really bother me. It was actually kind of exciting because, like I said, that shock factor. It's like, damn, who's this guy? Oh,
Mm.
that's his Joe.
But
I
see,
like the
that's where
idea of
you're a
that.
little bit different. A lot of people, especially a lot of guys that I've been around, when they see that, they see like the negativity on social media, and placing fifth or 10th at the Tampa, it really isn't negativity because like that was a very stacked show.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys would see that, and the first thing it would do was just crush their heart and crush their dreams. So that's why I was like, oh, guys, like, we got to turn this shit off. But like you powered through that. So you
Mhm.
believed in yourself just as much as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, I'm curious. Did you know who Justin? Because you're 29, right?
Yeah. No, 31.
Oh,
I
I'm
wish I
sorry.
was 29.
Okay, but you were still a very young guy when Justin was competing because Justin retired nine. It's been 9 years now, I believe.
9 years, yeah.
9 years. So, did you follow him? Were you aware of who he was?
I heard the name. I just didn't put a face to the name. And my good friend slash training partner, Paul, was working with him. So I'd hear the name quite often. And so when I found out who Paul's coach was, I looked into it and that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is the Justin Compton because I've seen Justin before. I just didn't put a face to the name. And so I had an idea. I didn't know like too much about his career until that point. But yeah, I got into bodybuilding a little later on in life where I started like actually watching the stuff and learning who Jay Cutler was and who Ronnie was and all that stuff. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because I can forgive because Justin wasn't around on the pro scene that long. Yeah, I wish he had been around longer. He was fantastic, and then one day he was just that was it. He was done. But
yeah, see, I think Justin was done in 2016
Yeah.
yeah,
and I really got into like watching the competitive side of bodybuilding. I want to say in like 20 2017, 2018. That's when I
okay.
decided I was like, hey, I kind of want to do this bodybuilding thing. And so I started learning more about it. I always worked out, but I didn't care to bodybuild. It was like I would do bodybuilding stuff, but I didn't care about competition. I didn't care about who was in posing trunks, who Miss Olympia was. None of that.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's most fans now. I don't think they're fans of competitive bodybuilding. These millions and millions of people that are on Instagram following guys like you, I think they're more fans of individual people. Like
Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
they'll follow Bumstead or something. Oh boy, I don't know why I'm getting this thing on Instagram where I can't see your pictures, Justin. But we'll stay with him. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys. You can't actually see it, but the screen. That moment at the Texas show where I believe it was a confirmation round. You can't see it on the screen anyway, but that was where Joe moved up, and I was hearing people saying they like you for the win. I mean, you were a solid third place, but there was that moment. We're going to see it on screen where the comparison directly to Jordan. It was very close. I mean, I would not have complained, and I would say this even if Jordan was on the podcast. I would not have complained if you had won the Texas show.
I heard that a lot from a lot of people. I definitely think Jordan deserved to win as far as like he had everything. He was conditioned, he was hard, he was his tan was good, his stage presence was good. I do, however, feel that I won the crowd at some point, and that was pretty cool to like hear people cheering when that there was a moment where they moved me in the center, and I actually thought I won in that moment until I saw the scorecard after. However, um, yeah, no, it was really cool battling Justin up there. I felt like I pushed him and
Yeah.
made him a body. He's a great bodybuilder, but I felt like that moment made him a better bodybuilder, having to be pushed like that. So it was exciting because he's a friend of mine, and yeah, I'm happy for him. But I definitely could see myself winning too.
Yeah. I mean, nothing. I'm a fan of Quint. I like Quint a lot, but it was he was the favorite going into it. Well, it was supposedly a big rematch between him and Jordan. and everyone wanted to see if he could turn the tables. And as we saw, it didn't work out remotely that way. And the fact that you beat Quint, I always say you're only as good as the people you beat. Like, there's been guys that have won shows where the lineups just weren't very strong and they get their asses smoked at the Olympia. But when you beat really good people, that your stock's risen. Your people have a lot more respect for that. So
yeah, just to point that out, from Tampa and Texas, he did knock out 11th, 12th, and 13th place from last year's Mr. Olympia. So in my opinion, that would qualify him as, like a top 10 guy, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's not going to the Olympia this year, we knocked out the guys that was right there.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like I said, if you're beating guys that are placed somewhere in that realm at the Olympia, you can reasonably say, yeah, he could probably be right there himself, which I totally agree with.
One thing that I'm really proud of and that I got to show within the last 2 weeks was that everyone saw where I placed in Tampa and how I beat John Jewett, and I was right there with Quentin and Jordan. That the second week I came back, and not only did I show that it wasn't a fluke, but I got even higher placed. And that was really nice because it kind of, for me, solidified the fact that I did belong up there, and it wasn't just a one-time, one-show kind of thing, and that I am capable of getting better. So to be able to do that was exciting for me, to show the judges, like, instead of placing me to the outside from the get-go, even going to the second show and trying to count me out again right away, I show I belonged where I was at the previous week. So that was a good feeling.
Now, Joe, you also did a prep with how old was your baby at this time? Like 2 months old?
He was 3 months old officially the week of Tampa.
Wow. So, I mean, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Your life changes. You made some posts about it, and I always get a little sappy reading those posts because my oldest child is your age, and your life changed that day. It's never going to be the same ever again, in a great way. But was it any special challenge having a newborn baby at home during this whole prep?
Well, 100%. It's funny because I remember telling Justin. I mean, I was excited to tell him, but obviously I knew the challenges that were going to come with having a newborn baby in my life. And Justin actually told me that we were going to play this show by ear, because I told him that I offered to my wife to take the whole season off and just focus on helping her with baby Jax. And she told me no. She said, "This is your livelihood, Joe. This is your career." She's like, "I believe in you just as much as you believe in you, and I don't want you to stop." And so I told Justin that's what she told me, and it was the truth. I wasn't trying to be selfish about it. And he told me, we're going to play it by ear. He's like, "We don't know how it's going to play out, and if she's going to keep her word to you and stuff, and if you're going to be able to handle that kind of stress."
Yeah.
So we're gonna attack you like we're gonna go in all in 100%. But if we have to pull out, we'll pull out. And I mean, I don't think it looked like I even had a child the way my body was progressing and everything. So I know Justin told me that he was shocked that everything played out the way it did.
I very much was. I mean, I don't have a kid. I've not really spent a lot of time around kids. I have a niece and nephew, but like I can only imagine, like, I've got 3 dogs, and having a kid is nothing like having 3 dogs. There's a lot of responsibility there, and I did want him to be, present. I wanted him to be a father. I wanted him to get everything done, and the fact that he was able to do all of those things and still show up the way that he did kind of speaks volume as far as work ethic, to be able to balance that kind of lifestyle, because you were probably working all the way up until a week out.
Yeah, I did. No matter how tired I was, I showed up for clients. I was like, I got to feed them. I got to make sure that my wife feels secure. That. So it was more so like there was a motive behind it that I didn't feel like. Obviously, I'm tired, but it doesn't matter. I just got up and did my job, and honestly, like, she held it down with him. Like, she changed the diaper. She woke up in the middle of the night to tend to him and stuff. But she also saw me have my moments where I'm dead tired. I could barely walk, go train my clients, come home, go train 100%,
Mm.
get up, do my cardio, eat my meals. I cooked all my meals by myself. I didn't
Oh,
have
really?
no help in the bodybuilding world
Wow.
because I knew she had to take care of Jax.
Mm.
And so I was like, she's relying on me to get my job done, and she's holding it down with Jax. Like, there is no complaints. I just got to keep moving, and
I think
um,
that's a great team as well, man, because you don't see that too often. Like for you guys to be able to pull that off with, a newborn right in the like right at the start of prep as well.
Mm. Wow.
mhm.
Yeah. I remember Lee Haney telling me, because he had both of his kids while he was Mr. Olympia, that he would sleep in a different part of the house. So, the babies, they wake up like 3, 4, 5 times a night.
Well, Justin saw it when we were at the last two or both peak weeks going into the shows. I did sleep in a different room at our Airbnb, where
Okay.
she was in the room with Jackson. I was literally on the couch or in a different bed, just because waking up in the middle of the night and me trying to sleep and get as much rest as I could. I spent most of the time with Justin and Paul. Because they were like keeping me like very much focused on the show at hand while Ashley took care of Jax. So
Mm.
she's a godsend. She held it down, and I
Mm.
know it was difficult on her, but she pulled it off. And then having my mom out there to help her the last few days before the show helped a lot. Um, Women work very well together when it comes to a baby, and
Yeah.
men work very well together when it comes to getting work done. So
Mm.
that's something we definitely learned.
Well, I think, maybe in about 5 or 6 years from now, whenever Jax is old enough to understand, you got to thank him a little bit too on this because like I said, I don't have my own kid or anything, but like he was actually an incredibly good baby. Like for the most part, I wouldn't have even known there was a child in the house. Like
Wow.
literally, just quiet. I mean, he cried a little bit when he was hungry, but that was it. He was a
Yeah,
very
no,
well behaved baby, and just he does what babies do.
he was actually really good. He had his moments at the airport, but there's so much going on. But he fussed when it didn't matter. When it mattered most, he was really, really good.
He was asleep at the show, right?
Yeah.
That's
When
what
I
he's
went to
like.
go
Through the
carry him,
show.
I woke him up.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he probably looked pissed in that photo because he was just woken
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
exactly that
I
one.
mean,
Yeah.
look at the Lion King moment there with Baby
Yeah.
Simba. I can't believe he wasn't screaming with so much noise. The music at these shows is loud.
You know
Really?
what's funny is right off the bat when he was born in the hospital, my mom kept telling us, "Don't lower your voice, keep talking, let him hear
Huh.
the loud noises and stuff and the TV, because the more he gets accustomed to that being the normal, he'll
Yeah.
sleep through it." And
Hmm.
obviously you see that my mom's theories were factual.
Wow. She's got some. You guys know who Dr. Spock was? She's like another doc. You don't know who that is, but famous book
Wait,
about how to take
Spock.
care of babies.
What was that from? That sounds familiar. Is that like a star?
No, Star Trek was Mr. Spock, but there was actually a guy, Doctor, I think Benjamin Spock. He wrote
Okay.
he wrote a famous book. It sold millions of copies, and it was how to take care of babies with like a different chapter on diapers and feeding and millions. I did that to take care of my niece when she was born because my sister was still partying. She was young, so she would leave an 8-year-old me home with her newborn baby. Anyway,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So getting back to the show for a second, I mean, you came so close to winning, even though the scorecards indicate it was I think he had a perfect score at the night show, but the scorecards are often not indicative of how close things sometimes can be. Was there a discussion about possibly doing one of these last two qualifiers that are over in, was it Italy and Germany are the last two?
I mean, Justin never really told me anything, but I was dead set on making it to the Olympia in my head. And so right away, when I'm told the feedback that I'm told and stuff, it's more so like I just want to improve. I want to be ready for the Olympia when I do get there.
Hmm.
So I don't just want to fall in the right lineup. I want to be in any lineup and be able to take it and not worry about who shows up. And then also I don't have a passport and I need to get one. So there was no doing that show no matter what.
It was like a 45-second conversation at the post show because I did think in the back of my mind, I was like, going into Texas, like I knew we were winning that. The second was not an option for me, or for us. But I thought, I was like, okay, there is a possibility. So I looked at the schedule. But with Jo not having a passport, I also think about one other thing here is we've seen guys do incredibly long seasons, and I would be worried that if we stretch this prep and having no break, because obviously that's in 3 weeks or so. So we really wouldn't have any type of break or downtime. And he's going to basically diet all the way to that. And then there's not going to be a lot of break between Spain and then the Olympia. So it's like by the time we get to the Olympia, is he going to look tired? Is he going to look run down? Then we're going to lose to guys we've already beaten this season. And then I'm just thinking, this is not the way I would want to finish the 2025 season. I would rather him go out right now as like the people's champ, because just like you mentioned, even though the scorecard showed one thing, I really don't think this was a decision. Like, if you go back and look at the full live stream, this was not like a 2-minute call out. They worked the shit out of these guys. And that wasn't Steve doing it. That was Bill doing it. And Bill's not normally one to work them that hard. So if they're working you that hard, there's a reason why they're doing that. They're literally nitpicking every single detail. And I did notice, like, as the posing went on, Jo was getting better and better and better. And I think the competition was getting just slightly. John Jewett was getting a little bit better, but I think Jordan towards the end, like, it was long, man. So I can't. It's not an opposing endurance contest. So I'll be clear on that. But I will say Jo can probably pose for 20 minutes and not get gassed, like 20 minutes straight and not get gassed. Jeez. So in my mind, I'm thinking out loud, like, sure, go ahead, keep posing them, keep doing it, keep going, because I was like, the more you do this, the better it's going to make us look. But, at that point, the judges had made their decision of who they wanted, and that's fine because Jordan is a very complete bodybuilder. Neither one of us are disappointed in that. Jordan brings a good package to the stage.
Yep.
I think it was comparing these three, we've heard the whole apples and oranges. This was like apples, oranges, and bananas. We have three completely different physiques up there. Yeah. And I think Quint looked a little bit better in Tampa. And I think Jo looked significantly better in Dallas, which obviously gave us that nudge up. But unfortunately for us, anyways, fortunately for Jordan also improved from Tampa to Texas. So I think I think we would have beaten the Tampa version of Jordan, but the Texas version was a little tighter, a little harder, a little bit more polished. So kudos to Jordan for getting that. We're all friends. So we'll be back next year. We'll be fighting him again next year.
So I'm just
100%.
curious. Yeah, just either one of you wants to answer. You did look significantly better. Did you do something different with the peak week for Texas that you had not done? Did you learn something from the peak for Tampa that you applied for Texas? Because you both looked. Jordan looked better and you looked better. It was just, and unfortunately Quentin didn't. But that's why I struggle with saying who's most improved, because you guys were both fantastic. You both look better.
Jo, do you want to answer or do you want me to?
You can answer it. I answered this on my gas little post, but I think you'll describe it better.
Okay, so there was 3 things that I saw that I wanted to improve on from Tampa to Texas, and we can't get bigger quads. That was his biggest critique. We can't do that in 1 week, but there was other little small things, small details that I paid attention to that I watch happen. So number 1, I'm going to say, is the tan, the skin care. Joe's body, like, they can spray him and it looks good now. And then like an hour later, he's lost like 3 shades.
Huh.
Like, if you look at Tampa, he was much lighter than Jordan. Like, we needed that color tan to be able to display him at his best. John Jewett was also very light, and I have no idea why that was.
Yeah.
So I was very adamant. We went out. What did you guys go on Wednesday? I think we went out, or him and Paul went on Wednesday to get a spray tan just at a local, like a not like a bodybuilding spray tan, but a spray tan just to darken up what he's already got.
Yeah.
And then I actually painted him. I painted 90% of him. Let's be clear about that. I painted 90% of him on Thursday, and I let Ashley finish the rest. So I wanted to make sure that tan was significantly improved, because obviously that's going to affect your presentation on stage. And I didn't want I didn't want the judges to have any reason at all to knock this because obviously we're shooting for the win here. And then number 2 was the front poses. Did they improve significantly from Tampa? Yes. It's more so the front double bicep and the front relax because the way Joe, when he lifts up on his chest, it actually pulls his obliques in and makes it better. We actually tried this for Tampa, but like he had basically hardwired his brain. You know, when you're posing a certain way for 16 weeks or 12 weeks, it's hard to make a change in 24 hours and then make that change stick when you're on stage, like wherever the heat's on. So we practiced that all week to be able to fix that shot because I think we won the side shots. I think we won all the back shots. And I think we won the most conditioning or the best conditioning. So we need to fix the front shots. This is what we got. This is what we got to work with. So I realistically think, and you know, this is me talking to both of you guys, so Rod and Joe, I think next year when you start your prep and you start doing your front poses, having a full 12 weeks to perfect that, people are not going to be saying that your front double bicep is bad. People are, it may not be your absolute strongest pose, but it's going to be significantly better than what it is here. But we did what we could do between those. And then there was one other little tweak, and I'll be transparent about this. Like getting between prejudge and finals to Tampa, I expected prejudge to run much later than it did. They moved them faster. So we didn't have a whole lot of time in between. So we had a meal left over where we were actually supposed to eat that meal before prejudging, but I saw how quickly they were moving the divisions, and I was like, no, hold that. Just don't do it. I don't want to stuff you full of food and then stick you right on stage. So we held that meal, but I also made an addition. And Joe made it a point to me last year that he actually doesn't have a gallbladder. And if you look at his stomach, his surgeon needs a slap on the back, like in a good way, because there is no visible evidence of that at all. They did an immaculate job. Like I'd worked with him for like 2 years and I had no idea about this. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I can't really put a lot of fats in this guy's plan. So I ended up giving him about, I think it was 350 to 400 calories of potato chips, which is also a trick that I use. I don't know if any of the older guys watching this show
Never heard of
backstage eating Pringles. So literally adding that extra sodium and fat in from prejudge to finals in Tampa brought his body to life. And I was thinking like, shit, man, I wish we could have had this at prejudging. We probably could have moved up to second place maybe because he was better at finals in Tampa. But at that point, you know, what was done is done. I said, but I'm going to make note of this and we're going to keep this going. So those were the 3 biggest tweaks. And then just the fact that he was about 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds. I think it was about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, right? Lighter.
1.5 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. 1.5 pounds lighter. And I think that 1.5 pounds was exactly what we needed to get the perfect etched out conditioning.
What was your weight at the shows, Joe?
The first show, I think I was like right at 249.
Yeah.
And then the second show, I was at like 247.4 or something like that.
So I'm guessing you're about 5'7" or 5'8"?
5'8".
5'8", yeah, because I mean I'm pretty good with height and weight. Yeah, I mean, so now I guess the question is, the off season I guess is going to be starting. What are the goals? I mean, you talked about legs. Do you have a specific game plan for that? What other areas are you going to focus on?
So 100% my sweep and my legs. I think between my sweep and my arms, I have big arms, but just the illusion of the really big arms and the big sweep will make my waist look that much smaller. So between the training, because I'm already wide clavically, my shoulders came up a ton from last year, so I don't need to do too much there. My back's one of my strongest, attributes. So I think just between those two, it's going to give me a certain look from the front and my front relax, my front double, that it's going to really stand out. And as far as training style, I adopted a newer training style like towards the end of my off season / during the prep. And I actually watched my legs get better and better during prep, where I really fine tuned how I, trained the sweep of my leg. And I just found a rhythm and something that really works well for me through volume and slower eccentrics, foot placement, just certain movements in general
Yeah.
And
that
also
I
we scrap
know.
squats too.
Yeah, no squats. So I mean, when I squat, but I either do it's mostly hack squats
Yep.
or a true squat, but it's the back supported true squat. So
Yeah.
I don't have a free moving core anymore. There's nothing for my core to brace because I don't want my core to get any bigger, and also it helps me where I can push with precision through a certain portion or area of my quad, keep tension there. And yeah, I'm just excited to have the food and the recovery and all that to be able to grow the sweep. Because, like I said, I grew them during prep, and that's during a prep. So it's exciting to know that I have a full year to improve that specific body part. I know how to train it. I know how to get the most out of them. So it's exciting for me to go into this off season 100% with a game plan.
The only
Just
other thing I want to touch on with that, just like I told you at dinner, is even though your back is like I've seen, saw Dennis James say that he thinks Joe has the best back double bicep in the business right now. So even though his back is great, I think if we can get his lats to hang just a little bit more in the front shots and then bring the sweep up, it's going to basically hide the waist and create more of an X frame illusion. I mean, it's kind of like if you look at Jay Cutler, for example. You know, Jay never had any distension, but he had like just naturally wider obliques. But because he was so damn big through his legs, his back, his shoulders, it really wasn't a problem for him. And I think realistically, this could be the same reality for Joe as well.
Yeah,
training,
that part's
training theory question for both of you, because the leg sweep I think is going to be critical. The quad sweep, because these freaking shoulders. Every picture I see of you, Joe, it looks like it's been photoshopped. Shoulders aren't supposed to be that big and wide, but good Lord. Do you guys believe, and I used to write it in the training articles, a close foot stance, lower on the platform for hacks and for leg presses targets the sweep specifically? Are you going to be doing that type of foot placement?
uh, from what I've been doing and what I feel. So I'm huge on going by feel, and yes, that stance is very helpful. But as far as how I let that load sit on my feet, it's very much almost like where I'm pushing through the pinky toe and outer part of my foot, and I'm controlling the weight with the tension on my sweep slowly, keeping it in that area of my foot, and then pushing through. It's almost like a pause rep at the bottom
Yep.
of say my leg press. And then when it comes to hack squats, I kind of explained to Justin how I do it, and without taking my actual back off the back pad, it's almost like in my head I'm doing a sissy squat
Yeah.
where I'm pushing really harsh through that pinky toe area, but really it's like it feels like in my head I'm lifting my hips off the thing, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't really explain it, but it's just what I'm feeling as I'm pressing through that part of my foot, and it's 100% putting a bunch of tension and pressure on that sweep the whole way through, as long as I control that time under tension, not speed it up, like press through like a pause, so it doesn't the weight doesn't get distributed anywhere else.
Well, I think the easiest way to probably describe that is rather than doing like a hack squat, even though you're doing a hack squat, think of it as like when you're at the bottom, think about doing a leg extension. You're not trying to push the weight up, you're trying to make your legs like kick out like a leg extension, and
Yeah.
you're going to keep that
Mhm.
tension in the quads the whole time. And it's funny you mentioned the lower, closer foot placement. I didn't know any better when I was a kid, but that's actually how I trained
Yeah.
my entire career, and I had great quad sweeps. So there's definitely
Mhm.
merit to that.
Yeah, interesting. So, what else? Because I heard people say if he cinches in his waist, I'm like, he doesn't have a gut. You don't have a gut, Joe. You have a little wider hip bones than someone like Quentin, who's got the 12-year-old schoolgirl hips. That's just luck of the draw. That's genetic. So I don't think getting wide. I don't know if you could get any wider on top than you are now. But the quad sweep, I think that's really going to be the puzzle piece, because your side leg shots are solid. Got that ham drop. The rear shots solid. I mean, what else is there than the quads and that little lower back that you really think you need? Because I think we're going to see you go from level to level to level over the next 2 seasons. It's going to be a
Well,
progression.
one of the biggest things that Justin said was literally just mastering posing my body to look its best. So with the improvements that we're going to make in the lower half, if I can just take those improvements and then give a certain illusion with the posing, it's going to edge a lot of people out. And just being a master of the craft, right? Like just getting better at every aspect of what bodybuilding asks for. So if I come in peeled, I critique my posing, and just those 2 shots is all I really need to focus on. And I mean, even my shit, like my ab and thigh, and the time that I had to fix it, I look at it, I'm like, damn, that became one of my stronger poses, and my legs haven't even come up yet. So it's like posing goes a really long way when it comes to a guy like me. It's getting really good at that.
I also think with another year under your belt, this is something that people aren't going to see right now, and it's not something that you're specifically training for, but just keeping this same style of training, you're going to continue to develop like the old man muscle, the muscle maturity, that density, that harder look. I mean, you're already the hardest guy on stage, but I think it's just going to be, we're going to continue to get better at that. It's going to be more. Like, I want to get to the Dorian Yates, like, thin skin look.
Hmm.
That's where I want this to go. And I think we're on the right track to do that. So you continuing to grow, like even though we're not shooting for 10 to 20 pounds more muscle, I just know as long as you're going to the gym, I know you're giving me 100% every time. And I wouldn't be surprised if you don't shock me again and we're like 5 to 7 pounds heavier with better conditioning next year. That
Huh.
would not be unrealistic to think. I mean, obviously your quads being your biggest muscle, so we're going to try to put most of it there, but I don't think it's unrealistic to think that we're going to be 5 to 7 pounds heavier with better conditioning and harder, just denser muscle.
And then one thing in the background that people don't really think about is I have a really good team foundation. Like the people that are involved in my little journey now, they're people that are sticking and that believe in what I'm doing, and that also 100% support. It's like my wife being who she is, allowing me to do this, my mom being on board, uh, Justin being my coach, Paul making sure that I have everything that I need. Like, because Paul became from a training partner, like now he's almost like my manager. He makes sure that I'm good, like that I have everything that I need. There's not a moment that I stress about getting a hold of anything that I need, or uh, literally just the food. Paul orders the food to make sure we always have it. So it's pretty cool. I have a really good team. I don't feel any stress on my shoulders because of that. My family's on board with it. Wherever we go, they're coming with me, kind of thing. So and then I have a lot of opportunities that are opening up for me to put me in an even better place for being a professional bodybuilder. So outside of leveling up on the stage, there's things that are going into the background that it's only going to make me better, because it's like I was all in before, but now everyone around me is all in with me, and it's pretty damn cool. We're talking from gym owners that I've worked with, to my friends, my family, to even like Justin's going to the shows with me. So it's just like we're all in here.
Wow. Yeah, and that's amazing. And you've also said the motivation factor from being a dad now, because you had your wife and everything, but it's so different when you have this other human being. It's your responsibility to keep that person safe, to give them the best life you can. It's a motivation that it's been getting guys out of bed to go to work for 1,000, 2,000 years. Yeah, talk to me briefly about how that did change just your outlook on what it is you do and why you do it.
I remember driving to the gym a few weeks after I found out I was going to be a dad. And, it's just like you step off stage, right? And you don't really like what just happened. Like, it doesn't really hit you what you accomplished. So one day I was driving and I was listening to that song that I posed to with arms wide open. I never really listened to it. I didn't play it on purpose, it just came on. When I really listened to the words, because I was driving, this is like I was working out at like 10 o'clock at night by myself. Me and Paul had different schedules for a while. And I started tearing up because reality hit me what I was about to take on, and how, like, no matter what happens, like I was given the opportunity to chase a dream, and I there was no like failure wasn't an option. Like no matter what, no matter how tired I got, no matter how hard things were, I was gonna figure it out because now I have this little boy on his way, and it's not about me anymore. It's about what am I going to have to leave him, and what am I going to like do to make sure he has everything he'll ever need. And I'm setting the example. You're your son's first hero. So when I go to pick him up from school and stuff, I want to make sure that he's excited that his dad's there, that his friends see his dad, that like I want to be like my dad, because I make him feel safe. I make him feel like he can do anything because I take care of him, I take care of his mom. All these things that motivated me, and they brought me to tears because it's like it's a huge responsibility to take on. However, I wanted it all. I wanted that. And I didn't even know if I could have kids. We get into bodybuilding and it's a gamble. You never really know. The first thing I told Justin was, would I be able to have kids doing the things that I'm doing? And like literally, that was one of the first things I asked him. And here we are. So,
What did Justin say?
what?
What did you tell him, Justin, when he asked you that?
I told him that, we look and we most bodybuilders are still able to do it. And I said, we'll have that conversation. I mean, it's not a very complicated protocol.
Right.
And for the most part, I don't know if I've really ever encountered, I'm sure there's guys out there that'll leave their comments on this, and that's fine. And I genuinely feel bad if there's any men out there who can't have kids that want kids.
Yeah.
But I've got a pretty good protocol for it. I've helped a few people as far as them having a baby. So like I felt very confident in myself that when the time comes, we could have made that happen for him.
Yeah.
And we weren't, well, I say we. I was not involved in that at all. He wasn't trying, and it just happened. And sometimes I think that's the best way it should happen.
Yeah.
And the way it happened, I was like, when people ask me, they're like, "Yo, Joe, is that like an accident?" And I was like, "Look, it wasn't an accident." I said, when I met Ashley and stuff, it was like you just know kind of thing. And
Yeah.
obviously, when you're doing what you're doing, there's a possibility it could happen. And I remember looking her in the eye and telling her, I was like, "Hey, like obviously this could lead to you being pregnant." And I said, but I'll be 100% with you right now. I was like, I see you as the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I'm very confident that you'd be the best mother of a child with me. And I would want you to have that role. So if you're on board, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to sit here and try, but if it happens, I'm okay with it. But I'm obviously going to give you the option here. And she told me that she's like, you know what, Joe, considering the situation and you doing the things you're doing and stuff, like if it's meant to happen, let's let it happen. It's in God's hands at this point. And I literally think in that moment that it happened. And here's Jax.
Yeah, at that time, I'm pretty sure we were not off, right?
Yeah, I was not off.
It was meant to be.
I was 100% on, man. I
I mean,
well,
it wasn't just like a bridge or a TRT. It was a full cycle, and you got her pregnant.
yes.
Wow. Okay. So there you go. The testosterone is supposed to be the male contraceptive they were going to come out with. Remember?
Yeah, man.
Ronnie
We talk about genetics, man. He's got them.
Dude. I mean, Ronnie had, I think, 10 kids, and I'm pretty.
And they're all girls, right? Not one son.
I think there were twins, boys and girls, that unfortunately passed. That was when he was a surrogate for somebody. I think one was a boy, but yeah, all the ones, because like when I do podcasts, there's like all these little girls running back and forth in the background. It's a house full of kids. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, that's it. Fatherhood, man. Congratulations again. We're getting toward the hour mark, and I want to wrap it up with the gear conversation, but not the one you think. You already went on Overcome podcast with my good friend Leo Merhofer, went through all that. But what I want to show is Justin went on a podcast, the same guy. It
was Leo as well, yeah.
Overcome podcast. And you were talking about someone's cycle, and you didn't say who it was, and a lot of people speculated you were referring to the late Dallas McCarver.
This was not Dallas.
Okay. Was this an actual, what we're looking at here, was this an actual cycle of somebody?
Yes. None of this was made up.
Wow.
Oh,
I will not name drop this guy's name just because I still do consider him a friend. And yes, he's alive and he's well.
That was my next question.
How in the hell he's alive and well, I don't know. But
shit.
that's a whole nother story. Like when you zoom in on that,
Oof.
like anyone watching this is not normal. This is not what professional bodybuilders do.
Yes.
This guy,
clarify.
like I feel bad because like he's gonna watch this too. He knows him. He knows I'm talking about him.
Huh.
But and he knows now this was kind of some dumb, reckless shit. But like I just felt like he was the guy who had a lot of money, and I guess he just didn't care. But like when he told me this, like I was young in the sport. You know, I think I was 14. I was 22.
Okay.
I think whenever I was told this. So in my head, I'm like, holy shit, you know, like, you know, I'm running like, I think like 600 tests, like 400 DECA. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I'm running like a tip.
Where'd you go?
You still got me?
Yeah, there you are.
There you go.
You guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you say you're running a typical
Hey,
supplement.
can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Hey guys.
I don't think he
We can hear you.
Let's see.
Oh,
Mike?
I hear you now.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
had an alarm go off. So yeah, I don't remember exactly what I was using at the time, but I wasn't using anything crazy, just like a typical gym bro cycle. And I was getting ready for junior nationals. And like when he told me this, I was like, what the like I'm just like mind blown that something like this
Is the
can
alarm
be
going off
implemented.
again?
Like everyone remembers like the late Andreas Munzer, and I'm still like trying to like look at this. I'm getting really close, but yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this was like a weekly dose for him on cycle.
Jeez.
And I remember the GH very specifically because I was asking about that, and when he said 4, or he said like 4 bottles, and I said like, you know, you mean like 4 IU? He goes, no, I mean 4 whole bottles. And like my jaw just dropped, and I couldn't fucking believe what I was hearing. And like I said, to this day, this man, to the best of my knowledge, is healthy. How, I don't know.
Wow.
But I have never recommended this to anyone. I never will recommend this to anyone. I never did this myself. And he's the only guy that I know that's ever done this. So yeah, people probably would speculate because I was friends with Dallas, and obviously his autopsy report showed he was on some pretty astronomical numbers.
Yeah.
That is also not normal for pro bodybuilding. I think I really feel bad about saying this because I feel like I'm talking bad about, you know, a friend. Like I think he was going behind Matt's back and doing more, because even though I'm not a fan of some of Matt's protocols, I don't think Matt would have told him to do what that autopsy report said.
Right.
I think, unfortunately, John O'Regan got a hold of him and kind of corrupted his brain a little bit before he ever had a chance to really get started in the sport. But yeah, this here, you want to die, do this. Like this, the guy, like I said, the guy that did it, he came out on the other side. He's fine, but like I really don't know how.
All right. So just to clarify, because this guy wrote What the Pros Take, and I know from before he blocked me, I was able to see the comments under all his posts, and his followers, there's not that many of them, but they totally believe this. They think that's a typical IFBB pro.
It's sad too that people, I mean, there's a great variation of like what people take on the pro league, and not just the pro league, the amateurs. There's guys at Planet Fitness that hopefully don't do this, but there's guys at Planet Fitness that is literally using more than professional bodybuilders. Like, I don't remember, this is about a year ago. I was actually doing cardio at Planet Fitness, and I got off the Stairmaster, and this kid comes up to me, and I was an asshole to the kid, not gonna lie. But like, if I don't know you, if you can't at least stick your hand out and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, nice to meet you, don't talk to me about this stuff. Like, it's not that I mean, you can clearly see I'm public and open about it, but like, if I don't know you, I'm not gonna just broadly do this. But he walks up and he goes, hey man, I want to ask you a question. I'm taking this, and this, and I don't remember what it was. But I immediately stopped him. I said, I don't want to talk to you about drugs. And he was like, well, he starts like kind of babbling on. I said, no, I don't want to talk to you about this. I had to raise my voice at him. And he's kind of like, okay, walked off. But I was just thinking, like, I looked at him as he's walking away, and I'm like, you're not natural. Like, what the fuck? Like, how are you taking 3 different compounds, and I would never know that you have a gym membership if I didn't meet you in the gym?
Wow.
So it really varies across the board. Like, so this is definitely not normal. I wouldn't be surprised if there hasn't been other people out there that's tried this, probably after seeing that post. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have even said it on Leo's podcast, but like, I'm being transparent. You know, this is what the guy told me, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But there's guys that probably, I would say, from like an Olympia level, I'm going to estimate on the low end 1,500 milligrams to 2 grams. And there's guys probably on the high end that's going 5 and 6. I don't know. That's literally something that, like, you've talked to a lot more Olympians than I have on this topic, for that matter, I'm sure. Because, like, when I'm hanging out with other pro bodybuilders, this is usually not a topic of discussion.
Right.
Like, we all don't get together and have like a little meeting, like, what do you take? You know, this is what I'm doing. No, we normally bullshit about stuff outside of bodybuilding.
Mm.
So I can't say what anybody else does, but like, do not do this.
Well, they're gonna say you're a liar because nobody on the Olympia stage is taking 2 milligrams a week or 2 grams a week, and they're gonna say even 5 and 6. You're low
I'm
ball.
going to say this. I want to pause you. I did prep a guy just because I don't like to put a name to a face to gear. So I will not disclose his name, but I will tell you I prepped him for the Olympia. Won't be too hard to figure out. I'm sure both of you guys can probably guess it, but don't say it if you can.
Okay.
That was on less than 2 grams. And I'm not going to say what placing he got either, but he did well. And ironically enough, this was a conversation between me and him. When we did one of his pro shows, I was in the hotel room with him, and it was just me and him in the room. He goes, hey, I need to be honest with you about something. I'm like, oh, shit. As soon as someone tells this to me, I'm like, what did you do? What are you doing? I'm thinking bad. He goes, you know, on everything you told me to take. And I'm like, yeah, this is exactly where I thought this conversation was going to go. And I remember telling him to take like 750 test. It was like 600 EQ. And then basically like the typical, like 300 tren, 300 mass. And he goes, hey, I need to be honest with you. I didn't do that. And I'm thinking, oh God, what? Like, what did you do? And he goes, I didn't feel comfortable doing those dosages. And I'm like, oh, what? And like I said, this is, I wish he was comfortable talking about this.
Yeah.
But like, I literally still have like messages on WhatsApp to back this up too, with screenshots that's not edited. But like, I think he told me he was running like 500 tests, like it was like 500 tests, 500 EQ. And he said like trend bothers him, so he only ran like 150 a week. And I'm sitting here like, I'm honestly like looking at him. I'm like, well, thank you for clarifying that, you know. So now we're on the same page with each other. You should have told me that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But like, I'm looking at his physique and I'm like, how in the fuck does he look the way he looks using this? Like, I as his coach, I couldn't understand it. Like, it's literally like I see guys like at local gyms that double, triple, quadruple what he was doing.
Yeah. And
when he told me, like, I was thinking when he told me he wanted to have a conversation with me, like, hey, I need to be honest with you. I was like, oh shit, here it goes. Here's the 2 grams of this, the 1 gram of that. And I'm like, oh fuck. But it was the opposite. It just completely like sidelined me. I did not know what to think when he told me that. And needless to say, he did kind of, I don't want to say, I hate to use the word man up, but like the following show we did, we got significantly better at. And he told me he did take the dosages that I told him to take.
Wow. We're going to wrap it up soon. But, Joe, I want your take on it because, you know, there's trolls online. They see what you look like and they see how fast you progressed. And they're going to assume you were on something similar to what we were just looking at, which, God, it was almost 18 grams a week. I can't believe, Justin, you say it actually happened. So I believe it. But I'm still in shock.
If you could, I want to pause that. If back to that guy, there's enough scar tissue in his body that would back this up. If I could have his consent to disclose his name, I would.
Yeah.
But like, I would be willing to, like, even if you bump shoulders with him, you will feel spots. Like, think about that for a second, guys. Before you're going to do this, before you think that this is realistic, where are you going to put that? Just be fair with me. I would love for anyone to explain, where are you going to inject this at?
Yeah.
Where could you possibly?
Oh, we lost him for a second.
Okay.
There he is. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I hear people saying, these guys need to stop pinning their delts. I'm like, dude, there's only like a few spots you can put this stuff. You can't put it in your freaking face, you know? So,
yeah, it's not like you can swallow the oil. Like, where are you going to do this at? And when you see something like this, I promise you, if anybody's doing this, you're going to see knots and lumps and all kinds of nasty shit on stage too. It's going to be inevitable.
yeah. So,
But
Joe,
anyway,
yeah,
I'll let Joe pick up on that.
I want you, Joe, to finish this off because people will assume this guy's on 10 times more than everybody else. That's why he's so big. They assume the bigger guys, the bigger you are, the more stuff you take, and you must be on astronomical amounts.
So, I mean, I'm gonna preface this with I was a fat kid to start
Fat
this
Joe.
whole Fat Joe, and if I've always said that if you start off in bodybuilding as a fat kid and develop discipline, you'll be able to eat the food. And I've always said the food has been the number one driver for when I was natural to even now. I have always been able to eat. I've always been able to get the food in, no matter how much it was. And I was natural for, if you want to consider me in high school all the way until I started my first cycle. Um, for the first 12 years of my career, almost 13 years, I got on cycle when I was 27,
Wow.
right before like literally, I think it was like 3 months before I turned 27, and I'm 31 now.
Hmm.
And I always believed in food and training because that's all I had as a natural athlete: food, training, and progressive overload. Pyramid sets, the weight on the bar mattered because your body can't recover from a bunch of volume when you're natural. So my foundation was always hard and heavy training with a lot of food, and I always believed in I'd rather overeat than under recover because I could always get the fat off me. So that's where Fat Joe was born. So I was always able to lift really, really heavy and stuff. So I had a solid foundation. Like I said, I may look new to the scene, but I've been working out for the last now going on what 17 years, 16 years. But the foundation was always what I just said: food and hard training. And then so when I finally got on my first cycle, which was I tell everybody my first cycle was one D ball, or sorry, 50 milligrams D ball daily, and then 500 milligrams of test cypionate. I just like everything else, I slowly, gradually built up, but my foundation was always tried and true training and food, and the drugs just helped me recover and get a little bit stronger. So I never tried to push crazy amounts of anything unless it was necessary to up the dose a little bit to keep that progression going. And like it's just like you add more food, the bigger you get. You don't need to add much more, drugs, but there's still little increments that you want to increase. And it's not even across the board. It's like your base and maybe a little GH, a little more GH here and there. But it gets to a point where it's almost like you don't even need to increase that anymore. You can actually dial back once you get to a certain size from a lot of what these pros are doing. So I never relied on the drugs. And whether people want to believe that or not, it is what it is. I really don't care. Like, I got to where I am. I'm healthy. And it's just a matter of like, if you can eat, you're going to be able to grow. Because I can promise you, anybody that tries to take those crazy amounts, it's useless if you can't eat and if you don't train hard. And then even say you can eat, if you don't train hard, you just get fat as fuck. So it's all got to match up. It's all got to make sense. And the drugs is literally the last thing on the list. It's the cherry on top of the foundational stuff that I've always believed in. So, and then I also attached myself to the right people in the beginning, the people that had the same way of thinking as me, that they love training, they know how to eat, they understand the importance of the food itself, and always did the lower end dosages, but just like everything else, like I said, you have to build it up a little bit over time. So
Yeah. Is there a number, a
this is
specific
completely
number you won't go over? You say that's 4 grams or 5 grams or whatever, 2 grams. Is there a specific number you say I'm never doing more than this?
So I've talked about laws of averages on Leo's podcast. So if I look at top professionals and I have an idea of like what most of those pros are gonna run at the highest and the
Yeah.
lowest, I'll just take the average of that and see how my body responds to that at a certain point. I've talked about putting on weight, right?
Yeah.
You get to a point where your body fat gets to a certain level. It's like, why am I pushing any farther than this? It's a point of no return. I feel the same goes with the drugs. You just don't need another like 100 milligrams or whatever. Sometimes it's other things you can do. So I don't know a real number to give you, but I don't think anybody really needs to take. If I'll just use test as an example, I
Yeah.
don't think anybody should ever really need to go past 1,500 milligrams unless there's like a rare weird reason why. But I haven't even touched that myself. Just full disclosure, but I think
and
that
that's where
would
people
be
get all funky.
Ah,
yeah,
5 grams. I mean, and
yeah. So
yeah,
that's just
Justin also
and I'm talking
mentioned.
about test base, right? So it's just I don't see the point of going more than that.
Yeah, and we talk about trend because I can't believe I've run trend many times in my past, and I can't believe people are doing like a gram or more of it a week. Justin talked about that client that was doing 150. I don't think anybody needs more than 3, maybe 400. It is so potent. When I hear guys running a gram, and half of them still look like they're natty, unfortunately, that's what kills me is these kids running these mega doses and they don't even look like they're on gear. I want to vomit. But
I feel
yeah,
like my temperament would be too high because I feel like I'm just by nature like more of an aggressive person as it is.
yeah,
And I can say when I'm on prep, I'm very timid. Like I'm ready. Like I don't have an arrest record, but it's a damn wonder why I don't. And I'm being legit when I say that. Like
oh man,
Uh,
because just the diet alone makes me kind of frustrated and makes me angry as it is.
yeah.
So and trust me, anyone who tells you trend is not going to affect that must have fake trend because it does indeed impact you. I used to deny it. I used to think, oh, that's bullshit, because I used to ignore people. But then I look back at my old self and I'm like, yeah, man, every time you had an argument, a dispute, anything, like when something would go wrong, it was always on trend. You remember the late Derek Anthony?
Yes.
He actually said one time, he said that every time he got into a fist fight, it was always when he was on Trend and Halo.
Wow.
Every time.
Wow.
So I can vouch. I mean, I can say it will frustrate you. So at 300, 400, I was good with that. I feel like I could have tolerated more, but I would have just had to I don't know, probably smoked weed or take a Xanax to chill out, to calm myself down. Like my body would have tolerated it. I just don't think my brain would have.
Yeah, it makes most people. I remember my son, who's 25. He was like 3 years old. I had a first like nice new sports car in my life, and he was in the back seat, eating, those munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts, little donut
yeah.
hole thing. So he's getting crumbs all over my cool new sports car leather interior, and I screamed at him. He started crying, and I stopped. I said, "What am I doing? This is I got him those freaking donuts." And here I am
Yeah.
screaming. And that was a moment. That was an important moment. But enough about trend. I'm sick of talking about trends. So I just want to wrap it up, guys. Off season coming up. I wish you both the most success. It was fantastic seeing what you two were able to put together for Tampa, and even more so Texas. Jo, I had never heard of you before the Tampa Pro, and now me and everybody else knows who you are. So, congratulations. There goes Justin again. Congratulations on a job well done, guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can put together for the 2026 season.
Thank you very much, Ron. It was great to meet you, man. And like I said earlier, we accomplished more than I could have even imagined, and I'm excited for this upcoming season as well.
Yeah. And Justin, final word. Can you hear me? Yeah. I just wanted Justin's take
Did
on
you guys
that.
freeze?
No, we're
Oh,
here.
you good? We're good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta have like a 2-second pause there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He asked if you had anything left to say.
Nothing on my end. I mean, if you're good, I'm good.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go. Thank you guys for taking the time. Appreciate it. Wishing you the best of luck. And final congratulations. Thanks everyone for watching. Ron Line Report with Jo The Machine Palacios and Justin Compton. We'll see you next.